This is part 3 of my Filled with Love online video tutorial. I'm going to show you how to create this card. It measures 6.5 wide by 3 1/4 and has a great trio, all courtesy of the Filled with Love stamp set, which is currently a bundled package through Stampin' Up! Through January 24th. So keep that in mind. It's a wonderful, versatile stamp set, and I hope you've been enjoying the video so far using the products from that particular promotion. So let's get started. I want to start off by showing you how to create this fun little image. Stampin' Up! Offers, and you use it with the Big Shot, the Scallop Rectangle Clearlit. What's neat about it is that it's actually clear, so that when you're cutting, you could actually layer it on an image and just make sure you're in the particular area that you want to have it, so that whatever you're cutting is going to show through and be centered. Nice feature. I'm using it today simply for cutting, and it also does a nice embossing line. I don't know how it shows for you, but it does have an embossing line all the way around. Although, honestly, I'm going to be covering most of it up. I'm also using a piece of old olive cardstock. It measures 1 3/8 by 1 7/8 on top. And on top of that, I am going to create the image using this stamp and 2 Stampin' Right markers, Old Olive and Real Red. And you've probably seen this a million times, but I absolutely love my markers for creating 2-color images with a single stamp. Very, very, very easy and always a pretty little effect. Fun to do with a sentiment too, and just highlight one word. I kind of, on the heart, I like to have things kind of going the same direction, but if you like things a little more wonky, you can certainly go multiple directions. Just take a good last look and make sure you've got everything covered. I also will take a rectangle that I've pre-cut, even though I'm using a clear mount stamp. I like to line up the paper. So I'm using my grid, or you could use grid paper, to make sure I've got that square. And off camera, I'm going to huff to moisten this particular image and do my best to center it. That's exactly what I was after. And I'm going to use a couple stamping dimensionals on the back side. And layering it on top with this cute little framed guy that we'll be using. Next, I'm going to create the sentiment, and to do that, I'm going to use a bitty button. These are free with any of the Filled with Love bundle promotions right now, and I use them on many projects. They're just a sweet, simple accent, and they do coordinate with the Itty Bitty Shapes punch pack punches. I'm using this particular pattern that coordinates with this particular bitty button, and I'm going to use a glue dot, and actually I'm going to, I'll use that for the bottom. I didn't center it as nicely as I wanted to, and I have to do them on each side, so maybe I'll get lucky and do a better job this time. That looks much better. And I'm going to layer this on top. I used a sliver of basic black, a sliver, to, and that's cardstock, to thread through and have perfectly matched coordinating thread. And then I tied it carefully. It's, you know, if you have a couple that break, you're using so little paper that not a lot of time and energy is lost. But sometimes it might take you more than one try. And now I'm going to line up the button and add it to my sentiment. And the crowning touch on this sentiment is these cute little library clips from Stampin' Up! They come in 4 finishes, I think. I want to make sure that I'm right. 4 different finishes. I'm using the black one, And I am going to attach this, give it a little turn, just for the heck of it. And doesn't that make sort of a cute little bit of whimsy, which I think is always kind of nice. The main card base is 6.5 by 6.5 and scored in the middle at 3 1/4. So I am going to go ahead and fold that over. Looks like I was off just a hair when I scored it, and that's fine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use my bone folder just to set that nice and clean. I'm going to use the 3/16 corner punch. We used to call it the corner rounder punch, but everything, you know, is subject to a new name, to create a nice little finish. Sometimes just the smallest details can make such a difference on a card. You don't need a million things. A million things takes time and requires a lot more product. So I like to just do a few small things and have them look as nice as I can. I next am going to add a piece of, I think it's 3/8 inch wide by 6.5, the full length of the card. All these measurements are on the class blog for your FYI. Another really pretty idea would have been to make a couple score lines here. Just plain score lines that would add a nice pretty finish. Or you could do wider score lines and then add this piece of real red cardstock in the middle, which would have been very, very pretty. But I'm going to keep this pretty basic right now. And I want you just to see how quickly this is going to go together for you. Next, I'll use some snail. And I have the best luck with, rather than starting from the middle, I have a better time eyeballing from the side. So I'm going to put it about here. And I'm going to do the opposite one. The sentiment part of all of this is going to go in the center. And eyeball it this direction, just sort of double checking to make sure things look pretty well lined up. I can zhuzh that a little. I think it's good. And then the last one that we worked on together is right here. Not the most beautiful job, partly because it's a little bumpy with the extra stuff on it, and that's fine. That's all good. And I find it's easiest to put this guy in the middle of them in space, but however you roll is fine with me. So isn't that a pretty little card? And then I added one more of the stamp images, again using the markers, just to add just that sweet little touch to the envelope. And Stampin' Up! Offers these Whisper White small open-end envelopes that coordinate beautifully with this size card. So, and it also is mailable, so you can send it in the mail and don't have to worry about being too small. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait to share my bonus tutorial of the little bitty box. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.